Hi, everyone, and welcome to Book Club with Bay. I am Bay, and this is Bay. Say hi, Bay.
Hi, Bay.
And today we are talking about Prince of Fools, the first book in the Red Queen's War series by Mark Lawrence. It's one of three. They're all really long books, but they're all really good books. These are my favorite books.
Yeah. It was a very enjoyable listen.
Yeah. I think part of
Also,
it is the narrator.
Oh, honestly, this narrator was awesome. Like he's not just a narrator; he's a full-blown performer.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is nice. Like it's nice when you get a narrator that performs, but not in like this is a soap opera performance, but in this is a really good movie performance.
Yeah.
No, he was good. I liked him. I enjoyed him a lot.
He was really good. Yeah.
He had the right amount of dry wit to his voice for the character as well.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, like always we'll start out with ratings. Trying to think what's like the most warm and fuzzy food I can think of.
Chocolate fudge sundae.
What?
Warm soup on cold day?
No, I don't like soup that much. What did you say?
I said a chocolate fudge sundae.
Yeah. Yeah, or like
a brownie
candy.
sundae. I like brownies.
Yeah.
Yeah, a mixture of all of those foods, let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with that.
I see what you mean though. Like you mentioned when we were doing Broken Empire, I think you said you read this series. I think you said you read this series first or something.
Yes, I did.
I see what you mean now about how like half of it you're just like, okay, I don't know what the fuck's happening, but cool, let's roll with it. I see what you mean now. Like, was that in reference to like all of the Broken Empire references?
Yep.
Because this book more or less takes place over the same time frame as the first Broken Empire book, but the present, not the flashback timeline.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So Jorg has returned home, etc.
Right. Yeah.
I liked that as well. I liked that they were parallel.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find like an actual that tells me exactly when things happen.
Okay. But yeah, no, I like when they got to the inn and the brothers were there. I was like, oh, now I get it. Like what you were saying, because I was like,
when what?
When they got to the inn and the brothers were there, and not like sibling brothers, like Jorg's brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all in and stuff, and that's when the crossover. Oh no, sorry, the first crossover reference was the Lost Prince has returned, and then it was that, and I was like, yeah, no, I can see why you'd be like, who is this Lost Prince, and why do I care? And then why don't we ever really meet him in this book?
Yeah,
like why are we being told about someone that we don't meet? It makes no sense. But it makes sense if you've read Broken Empire, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, because it kind of takes place like rereading order. People have suggested you do like Broken Empire 1, Red Queen's War 1, and then like etc. Because that's kind of how the presents overlap.
Yeah.
Sort of. Although I will say
I did read that the end of this series still takes place about 4 years before the end of Broken Empire.
It does. Yeah, this does not cover as much time.
Yeah, so this coincides with the present tense of the first Broken Empire, and then the last one of this takes place with the past tense of the last Broken Empire or something.
Yeah, I guess.
Because the last one flashes back 4 years still.
It's not even quite that. We don't cover even quite that much time.
Okay.
If
So
I
it's
recall
still kind of
correctly.
slightly before.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Okay.
cover, I believe, like a year and a half in this series.
Okay.
But so I guess we'll start off with characters.
Okay.
So Prince Jalen is our main character. This is the head that we are inside of, and it's a very fun head to be inside of.
Yes.
The first line of this book made me decide I liked this book.
Okay. Yeah. I
like
it too.
Yeah, like I was just like listening to it. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this book. And then the first line played. I was like, I think I'll like this book. Because the first line is, "I'm a liar and a cheat and a coward, but I will never lie. But I will never ever let a friend down, unless, of course, not letting them down requires honesty, fair play, or bravery." And that's Jalen's personality in a nutshell.
Yep. Yeah. So we talked about when we did Broken Empire how Jorg's an anti-hero, but like, okay, he's a dark and twisted anti-hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy's also an anti-hero, but like
in the more traditional sense,
in a more Deadpool style anti-hero.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
In spirit.
Yeah, like he's also, we talked about this before we went live, more immediately likable than Jorg is.
Well, like we meet Jorg immediately post-rape. And he's just like, this is fine. I wish he would have been quiet. Whereas this guy's like knocking his friend unconscious because he was banging his sister.
Yeah.
Like,
and so like Jorg, for example, is, you know, a very seasoned fighter. He does the fighty fights all the time. Whereas anytime Jalen does anything badass, it's like, at least in this book,
it's an accident.
It's absolutely an accident. He's just like, I was screeching in terror, and then all of a sudden this guy was dead. I forgot what happened. And that's what Jalen's like. He's great. He's really fun, and his internal dialogue is really fun as well. Just his commentary on the world.
You know, he's very, and I liked as well how in Broken Empire, Jorg makes a reference when he's about to torture someone. You know, they say that cowards make the best torturers, blah blah blah, you know, etc. I'm not a coward, but I make just as good a torturer. Whereas like Jalen in this is like, you know, they say that cowards make the best torturers because, you know, they understand people's fear. But then there's me who looks at them and goes, what if you escape and come back to get me? I'm too cowardly to even be a torturer. So it's like they're night and day against each other. They're completely different MCs, but it's still fun, like reading these two different MCs that are such a major part of the same universe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like just like the Broken Empire series, this one has like a lot of quotable moments.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just good. Okay. Yeah. So, but that's Jalen basically in a nutshell.
Yep.
And then we have our best friend character.
Yes, our friendly neighborhood Viking.
Our friendly neighborhood Viking, who is Snorri. And also, just like to side tangent real quick, this series does a good job of expanding on the world building in the last series.
Oh yes.
So, which, like, if you read the first series,
you want me to bring the map up?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. If you read the first series first, it feels a little more medieval, whereas this one feels solidly Renaissance-y, I think.
Right.
And
sorry, my headphone cut out, so I got to the first one feels a bit more medieval.
And this one feels like solidly Renaissance-y.
Yes, and I think that works out well because they take place in different regions
Mm-hmm.
of the Empire. Let me just open you in a new tab.
But so this isn't really a spoiler because we've already gone through the other series, but this is like 1,000 years in the future. So even though if this were like the past, Snorri would not consider himself a Viking. Because of when this takes place, he does.
Okay, so I'll zoom in. There we go. Okay, so the first series takes place up here.
Yes.
So, like, this is where Jorg's from. This is his first little kingdom that he takes over here. And yeah, so this is like the main area of the first book, or first series. And Jalen's from here. But then they end up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, okay. So they go on a journey up to here.
Yep.
And if anyone's thinking, wow, that looks like a kind of a misshapen, vaguely European area, that's because it is.
It's Europe, but sea levels are high.
Because future and continents change.
Yeah.
Okay. Also,
but the story is... Sorry.
Oh, wait, give me one sec. Sorry.
So Snorri is a Viking, and he's from the north. He's from where Vikings are traditionally from. And Snorri is basically a giant bear that you don't want to hug, I think is a good way to put it. Except when like you do want to hug him. Their friendship's really good in this book. And Snorri, like while Jalen is a badass on accident, Snorri will mow people down like it's nothing. But unlike Jorg, he feels a little bad about it afterwards. Actually, no, he doesn't. But that's not the point. He doesn't.
Sorry.
Not that Jorg killed indiscriminately, but Snorri is not the same character. So Snorri, just to get this all out of the way, so that we don't have to interrupt it during because like if you go in order, there are different little parts where we will go into like Snorri talking about himself and his life. So we'll just get it over with. So Snorri had a whole family up in like the Norse area, and then it was attacked by King Olaf, and yeah, he does like warm hugs. It was attacked by him, and then all of his kids and his wife died. And now he's looking for revenge, or he's trying to find them, basically.
Yeah, at this stage, he suspects that his wife and the only son that hadn't died yet was still alive. He's in denial of the fact that they're dead because it hasn't been officially confirmed.
Yes,
but he knows. Uh-oh.
Yeah. So that's.
Oh, you're still doing a little bit of a cutting out.
Am I freezing?
A little bit, but not too bad.
So then there's Tudigo.
Yep.
Who is like our little fat Viking friend that we pick up along the way.
Yep.
And he's just a wholesome character.
He is.
Honestly,
I like him.
I like him too. He's wholesome. He's fun. And then there's Taproot's back, not for very long, but he's back.
Yes.
And he doesn't stop.
Yeah,
he doesn't stop being a thing. So just keep in mind that he exists. And then There's the Red Queen, who
Yep.
is I'm trying to, because I didn't finish rereading the whole thing, but I've read it like 4 times. But also some of the books smushed together in my brain. I don't think you see the flashback of her doing badassery until like the 3rd book. I think that's when you see it.
No, there's not a lot to. There's no flashbacking for her this book.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to her character yet, but she's very tall. She's very queenly in appearance, basically.
But she's like warrior queen. Like, we kind of get that vibe from her, at least in this book.
And rereading like the original throne scene in this book, having read all of the books, are like knowing how the books go. Every time I read that scene, I'm just like, oh, it's so cool. Because like there's just stuff in it that you don't pick up on until you've read all the books.
Yeah.
So she's a very hard ass grandma, doesn't like any of her grandkids because they're not good enough. Although we'll talk more about that in the 3rd book, because like I don't want to spoil things for you.
Okay.
And then we have the silence.
At least the impressions we get this book, I don't know if they're accurate or not, because I suspect Jarlin's view of how she views him is completely incorrect based on just hints from this book.
Yeah.
But from this book perspective, she dislikes them all. She dislikes him the most, and he's got one female cousin, and she is the apple of Grandmama's eye. Yeah. I suspect, based on so this book, it heavily hints that he is incorrect in her assumptions of her view on him, because he's the only one who can see her sister.
Yes.
And she knows this, and and based on the fact that she seems to be quite readily willing to accept that there's a dead army thing happening and all this crap, I feel like she knows that he's destined for something or other. And yeah, so I think it's all him misinterpreting stuff or something, or maybe he's not misinterpreting, but she's lying. Like, I don't know the reason for the miscommunication yet, but there is one. So I suspect based on that, I feel like then it only makes sense that the granddaughter is not the favorite or well-liked.
Yeah.
Am I correct in the assumption?
The granddaughter is very well liked. That's not like a lie. But like Jalen's status is very different from how he views it in the 1st book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, she does refer to him as the little one.
Yes. Like, she's not very nice to him.
No. She's kind of a hard ass, so.
Yeah, she's definitely a hard ass. And then there's the Silent Sister.
Yes.
As is spoken about. The Silent Sister is like this weird amoeba thing that's latched on to the Red Queen that is a person. Am I wrong?
Yep. I guess not.
I mean, the best way to describe her is like she's a weird amoeba that just is there. Except like she does magic. She can leave the Red Queen's side and stuff, but whenever they're in like the throne room and everything, she's there. Jalen is the only one that can see her.
Yep. I mean, can the Queen see her?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought I read it as that.
But Jalen's the only other person that can see her.
Yep.
And they also call her the blind eye woman.
Yeah. Oh, is she actually blind, or does she just look blind?
She has one eye that is blind.
Okay.
So she's the Silent Sister, and she's a Silent Sister because she's silent, and then she's the blind eye woman because blind eye.
Yep, and there's rumors of her, like other people know of her, but they think that she's an urban myth.
Yeah, she's like an urban legend, and nobody has seen her except for Jalen. Poor Jalen.
And then there's his uncle, his great uncle, who we find out in this book is his great uncle.
Yes.
And we don't actually meet him in this book, but we meet him in memories, I guess.
Yeah, so his great uncle is, this isn't really a spoiler. His great uncle is the twin, I believe, of the Silent Sister.
They were conjoined twins, and
they were conjoined twins. They were separated at birth. So because of like who was favored in the separation, the great uncle is like all fucked up. Basically, he's crippled. He's in a tower.
He can't walk. He can't really do much of anything.
Yeah. So then we have his dad, the cardinal.
Yeah.
So his dad's a cardinal. He's not very good at it.
No.
And then we don't really see much of his brothers this book.
No.
But he has two older brothers. We'll put a pin in that. That's important later.
So Jalen is the third son of the third son of the queen. So he's pretty far down the line of succession.
So he's like, I'm a prince, but I have no responsibilities. Hey, like that's how he feels.
Yeah, and because we don't really see much of that in this book or whatever, but from what I've gathered is he more or less just got the job of cardinal because it was like, oh well, like I guess I have to give you a job here, do this.
Yes,
because the queen also, she's Christian by appearance, and that's about it.
And then
she doesn't really care.
And then another character, I'm just going through characters that I know are important but don't do a lot in this book. There's Lisa DeVere, who is in the opening scene, the girl that Jalen was sleeping with. You only see her once in this book, but like he thinks about her in this book. But that's kind of that. We can put a pin in that too. There's also Mary's Alice. Who is the guy that Jalen is heavily indebted to. And Cutter John, who is his torturer, and we can put a pin in them as well.
And then there's the queens that were originally octuplets, were they?
The what?
The quints that were originally like there was like originally like more than 5 of them, and now there's only 1 by the end.
The queens?
The quintuplets. Like there was Finn and I can't remember the last guy's name. It means 1, so it was like Uno or Una or something. Like at the end when.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I forgot.
And there was this whole thing where it's like, I can't die yet because Finn has to go before me.
Yes. That thing.
So I think there was originally more than quintuplets because the multiple birth brothers had been dying in order of youngest to oldest. So there was originally more than 5, but we didn't meet any of the others because they were already dead. I think there was 8 originally. And this poor freaking mother, because they've got other siblings too. All like they've got triplets, they've got a single birth, and I think twins as well.
Yeah,
they're the youngest. Like I think these ones are the youngest. So it's like
it never comes up again.
No, I just.
So I forgot.
Yeah. So what's the guy? What's the last one that's left? Name, is it Uno? Because these guys are literally also named just like for the number of which the order that they were born in.
Um,
Uni. I know it starts with an un. I just can't remember what the second syllable is.
I forget.
Okay, because at the end, when after the battle's done and there's only like the four of them, because it's him, Snorri, other guy, I can't remember how to say his name, and Uni, Uno, dude left, and he's the first one that he heals, and he has to go and heal the other guy.
Yeah, I forget what their names are, but
Yeah, I remember. I only remember the first Quint to die's name was Finn.
yeah.
But
Yeah, because there's
so,
Quinn. There's like Quinn N, Quintier, Quintier, Quinfurer, like,
yeah.
and then Fim.
Oh, Fim. Okay.
So it's Quinn. So you were right. It's Quinn in or whatever. I forget how you say it.
Yeah, I'll find the thing. But anyway, he's a character.
I found it in the ebook.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't meet them.
Yeah. So there's them. Well, by the end of the book, there's one left. And I think that's mostly it for characters. Like, if we forgot anyone, we'll get to them as we get to them, I guess.
I'm trying to think of any like overarching characters that we leave behind in Red March that we should put a pin in. I think I got everybody.
Okay. And then.
Oh yeah, actually, cousin Sarah. That's her name. Put a pin in her too.
Oh yeah.
Just a bunch of everybody's a pincushion right now. Because there are a lot of characters you meet at the beginning of the book that you're like, why am I meeting all these people? You'll see why later.
We'll circle back to them. Calm down.
We circle back. Like I said, I reread the beginning of the book. I didn't have time to finish it, but I've read this book like 4 times.
Okay.
So the beginning of the book. So we start off with Jalin in his, or with Lisa DeVere. He's woken up and he's and Elaine DeVere, Lisa's husband, or it's not Lisa, wow, Lisa's brother, not husband, TJ, Jesus Christ, Lisa's brother is beating the shit out of Jalin with a vase. So Jalin yeets out a window.
Jalin knocks him out with a vase.
Oh yeah, well yeah, he does knock him out with a vase, and then he yeets.
Yes. He's like, I must return home. So
yeah, and so then he goes to the palace at Vermilion, and then we get to see like the whole palace. And right as he gets there, someone's like, "Hey, there's like a thing. What the hell?" And he's like, "What? Oh, come on, man." So he has to get ready for a thing. And then he has like this kind of internal back and forth with himself. Like, should I dress nice or should I let myself be dirty? What will grandma think is better? He goes with dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes with dirty because also he doesn't have time. It's like you have to go. And it's like, God damn it, fine. Maybe she'll like it. I don't know.
Yeah. So he gets like to the throne room. And then we get the big throne room scene with You know, he has 9 siblings and like between the siblings and cousins, there are 9 of them there, but 2 of them are his siblings.
Yeah.
And as we said before, cousin Sarah and the brothers are the only people that in the overarching scheme of things you need to remember. So and then his brothers are Martis and Darren, and that's all that matters for now.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So the queen that's left at the end is Ein.
Okay.
So I was wrong about his name, but I was right with what it meant, but I was wrong with the name.
Yeah. So then there's yes, this is where we see like the silent sister. We get like a flashback to when he was little and the first time he saw her. And he really didn't like it because he was really confused as to why nobody else could see her. And he was like, I'm confused. Also, Jalen's mother is dead. This universe has a thing for dead moms, kind of like Disney.
Yes, we don't like mothers.
Yeah, it's a not mom-friendly universe. So,
Rapunzel ended up having a living mom. We've got one out of all of the.
That's true.
We have one living mother.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So.
Then after that.
Yeah. So the Queen does a big speech about, you know, dead army. There's a door for the dead, and that can't be opened and blah. And Jalen's just like, why do I care? Why do I even care, Grandma?
You care that there's a door to the dead that can't be opened. That's important. Put a pin in that, by the way.
Yes.
Put a pin in that. That's in here for a reason. They don't get to it this time.
This is a series. This is not a standalone book. It's fine.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that just put a pin in it, okay? Yeah, so we put a pin in that. Also, we have, like, she brings out Snorri, and she's like, tell us what's going on. And he's like, the dead king's army is rising, blah, 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 blah. And Jalen's like, I don't care, but he looks like someone I could put in the fighting pits.
Yep. Because he's a good egg.
Yeah, because Jalen's a good egg.
Yeah, at this point, Jalen's just like, yeah, he could decrease my debt. I'm sold. I want him. And then the Queen also seems to have in some ways a greater sense of honor than a lot of the other ruling parties that we've met in this universe between the series, I guess, because she doesn't like the concept of slavery. She's like, okay, you were a slave, you can go now. That's fine. You know, she's just like, go home. You've done what I wanted. Now you can fuck off, pretty much.
Yeah, that's kind of her attitude. So after the meeting thing that they've done, Jalen now has to intercept Snorri to make sure that he doesn't fuck off.
Yes.
Because Snorri has essentially been set free, and so Jalen has to go intercept it, and he has to be like, oh, by orders of the Queen, who's my grandmother, I have to take him, so you can just give him to me. And then they do that.
Yeah.
And they take him to the fighting pits.
It's because Snorri is also like 7 foot tall. I also like the interchange measurements, like with, you know, the standard foot, you know, to how we measure horses.
Yeah.
Every so often you get he's a full hand taller. And it's like, oh, horses. Because hand is how we measure horses. That is a measure of length.
Not my hands.
Yeah, I don't think my hands either, but it's also not my feet. I don't think.
Maybe people's hands.
Yeah, I don't think a foot is my foot.
Horses. My hands aren't big enough for that.
Wait, I can't even remember anymore. How big is a hand? Sorry, I'm not just typing. I'll do it I'll convert it to foot. It's a third of a foot.
Okay.
Which is how we get horses that are like 16 hands, because that sounds really big.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the 16 foot is kind of a big horse anyway, but yeah, it's a third of a foot. 4 inches.
So after we grab a Snorri, we've procured him, taken him. Then he's being taken to the fighting pits. Then Darren comes up to him and he's like, like blah 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 with the unborns and like corpses and doors to death and necromancy, which is more for us than it is for Jalen, because Jalen's gonna forget this.
Yes.
But the author says it to us again. He's like, hey,
remember this stuff?
It mattered, like from 2 seconds ago, that you're probably going to blow off because we're not going to talk about in this book. Remember that we talked about it, okay? And then the first time I read through this, I forgot about it, so I'm a bad egg. These are long books, okay? They're very long books. So, yeah, he goes, and unborn. The term rang no bells. It didn't even approach belfry. And then, so it's something born into death rather than life, is how it's described in the book.
Yeah. So ultimately, what that is it's they take the unused potential of a dead baby and use it to animate a thing or something.
Yes. Yeah. And people just said stillbirth trying to be a shit, but that's actually pretty much what it is.
Yeah. Or a baby, like.
Yeah, like either you kill a baby or it naturally dies and then you can make an unborn.
Yes. Which is kind of sad.
Yeah. So then he's like, okay, you have to go to the opera tonight. And he's like,
oh, before the fight, before this did, it's take him to the fighting pit, and they're like, okay, we'll take him, but let's kill him now, I guess, type thing. And everyone's like, wait, what the fuck? And then he doesn't die and break, like, against all the odds, Snorri breaks free.
Oh, no, we're not there yet.
Oh, that hasn't happened yet?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I thought that happened.
We'll get there.
Never mind then.
We're not there yet.
How get him escaping? That's kind of important.
I didn't gloss over it. We're just not there yet. So then Darren's like, you have to go to the opera tonight. And he's like, ugh. And then that's that. So then, but before we go to the opera, we have time to go to the fighting pits.
Yes.
So we go to the fighting pits, and we're watching people fight, and then it's Snorri's turn. And then because Snorri is so big and Vikingly, they're like, have him fight a bear. And Jalen's like, oh no, I'm gonna be in debt forever. And then Snorri beats up the bear and then beats up the bigger bear. Actually, instead of beating up the bigger bear, he uses the bigger bear to launch himself out of the pit, and he escapes.
Yes.
So then after that, Jalen's like, oh, I guess it's time for opera.
Yay.
So then we have to go to the opera.
Yes. And he's late. He can't see any of his fam bam.
Nope.
Daddy's not there. And he's like, Daddy made me come, and he's not even here. And so he just sits there and sulks until intermission.
Yes. And then after that, Elaine DeVere, Lisa DeVere, the brother of the girl who he was fucking in the first chapter, is
the one
like,
you knocked out with a vase?
Yeah, is like, rare. You knocked me out with a vase, and he's like, and so then there's
be friends.
And, yeah, like, why can't we be friends? Like, and then so then there's a little bit of fisticuffs. And Jalen's trying to yeet out a window, but he can't because the Silent Sister is outside doing her thing, writing sigils on the wall, and he's like, what the fuck? So he can't get out of the thing. And then the opera house starts burning.
It's also the men's bathroom window.
Yeah, it's the men's bathroom window, and
I just love the random guy on the shitter. He's just sitting there watching whole thing happening. He's like, what the hell is going on? And it makes me sad because I think he's dead now. Let's be honest, he's dead now.
So,
in spoiler for next book, does Brother Dearest do a dead?
no.
He gets out?
Yep.
Okay.
Dad's not dead either.
Okay.
So,
so he jumps, he manages to break his way out the window and lands in a pile of shit because it's outside the bathroom.
yes, but as he does this, he breaks something in the magic. It starts cracking and splitting, and then he's like, ah! And so he runs.
Oh, that's right as well. While he's at the opera as well, he sees a thing inside that creeps him the fuck out.
It was
like
an
a person
unborn.
in a mask. Yeah, but it's a person in a mask, and he's just like, that looks really fucking creepy. I don't know why, but I'm creeped the fuck out.
Yeah, and that was an unborn. So, also, if I can describe Jalen's fighting style as anything, it's and that's it.
Yeah, and then honestly, whenever I actually picture him being forced into a fight, like windmill arms, it's kind of how I picture it, but with the sword in his hand.
Except it works out.
Yeah, but yeah, it somehow works out. He's an accidental kung fu fighter. Like, he's the kind of person that like trips over and accidentally manages to roundhouse kick someone, and everyone thinks he's a hero afterwards. Uh-oh.
Which is exactly what happened to Jalen.
Yeah.
Like, that actually happened. So he's also known as like the hero of Errol Pass because at some point, like something, he did a thing.
Yep.
In battle.
And we learned from his shut up. We learned from his internal monologue that was actually just, again, complete accident. He was freaking the fuck out and managed to win.
He was freaking the fuck out. He was like, I don't want to die, and then he won, and that was that.
Yep. Yeah, it's like, people call me brave, but if you think like just trying to escape and like, just trying not to die is brave,
then I suppose.
But I'm actually a coward.
Yeah.
He's very self-aware. That's one of the things that makes him most likable. Like, he's in no way deluded about
right.
Yeah, he's just like, no, I'm a coward. I kind of suck. I guess he does end up being a bit deluded by the end, but it's because he's like, but I'm a coward. I don't want to have to save people. Fine, I'll do it, but I still don't like people. Like, by the end, he's still convinced that he will put himself above everyone, even though he risks dying multiple times by the end of the book.
Yeah.
So he's in denial about his lack of cowardice by the end.
It's cute.
Yes.
His character development is great. Because also, like, you don't lose his personality as you do it. Like, as it goes on.
Yeah, like, because like at the end he does save a couple people by putting himself at risk of dying, And he's like, but I don't wanna, and the whole time like he's doing it, he's like, I really don't want to be doing this. Like, I feel like I should be protecting myself, like, as he's doing the thing. So it's nice.
Yeah, the whole time he's doing it, it's funny because he's just like, fine.
Yeah. He's like the quintessential bratty girlfriend by the end.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, but I will, but I don't want to.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to go to war. That doesn't sound like
Mommy.
Yeah, like, that doesn't pencil into my schedule. I had things to do today.
Yeah.
Is more or less how I feel about it. So as he yeets out this window, he has to break. There's like this web of like magic that's like holding him in. So he has to yeet out of that, and he does it, but it causes like the building to start cracking. And then he's like, and so then the crack starts chasing him, and he starts running. And he's like yeeting and jumping and doing all sorts of parkour. And the
cracks are kind of doing like figure eight, like opposite direction figure eights.
Yeah, all right, because there's two of them. There's a light one and there's a dark one. And so, yeah, he's like kind of yeeting and jumping and like all this kind of stuff. And then at one point, the light crack like hits a person and they explode. So he runs faster because fuck that noise.
Whenever the two cracks into people explode. So that's fun.
That's interesting. But then his plans for yeeting are thwarted when he runs smack into Snorri. And then the cracks hit them. The light crack hits Jalen.
Yeah, Snorri sees him, he's like, you, and then punches him.
Yeah, punches him. But then, like, because of that, the light, like, the cracks catch up to them. So the light crack hits Jalen. The dark one hits Snorri. And now, and then Snorri leaves him there.
Yeah.
But he wakes up and he's like, he just looks behind him and there's just like some dead explodey bodies. And so he's like, I don't know her, and leaves.
Yeah.
He's like,
and also, and there's part, like, there's also something in him. He's like, I have to run this way. I have to run this way. So he's more or less just following his gut instinct at this point. And we find out shortly that there's a reason for that.
Yeah. So then he winds up getting captured by Cutter John and marries Alice. So, you know, and his whole thing in the whole book is like, I'm a prince, god damn it. Why don't people recognize me? Whereas Jorg was like, thank God nobody recognizes me. Jalen's like, this is fucking bullshit. I need to get this like embroidered on my forehead.
Yeah, and a big thing as well, because also being the third son of the third son, one kind of like to the queen, kind of has made him grow up with a sense of entitlement, but not the most amount of resources, because, you know, he's like the least important in the grand scheme of traditional succession.
Yeah, he's like never gonna be king, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So he's accrued a lot of debt because he lives life like a prince, but doesn't have the funds to back it up.
So then he's like about to be tortured, and then before he can be tortured, we get rescued by our neighborhood Viking.
Yes, Wild Snorri appears, and he's like, "It's you guys!" And he attacks Cutter John and shit because, you know, they threw him in a fighting pit, and he ain't happy.
Right.
Does Jalen end up telling Snorri at all in this book that it wasn't the queen that changed her mind?
I believe so.
Because that's a thing, like, where Snorri's like, I've got shit to do, but I'm going to come back for your grandmother because she went back on her word, and that was rude. She said she was going to let me go, and then she didn't.
I know he tells her, but I don't remember. He tells him.
He tells,
but I don't remember when it happens.
Okay, so that may or may not have been resolved in this book.
Yeah, I know he does it, though. I know he doesn't want to do it, but I know he does it.
I feel like it might have been in this book, but I can't exactly remember if it actually happened. I know he was thinking about it. I just can't remember if he actually did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jalen realizes that it's around here, because this is why they don't part ways. They realize that they can't separate, like they were being drawn to each other.
Yeah, so sorry.
Cracky shit.
Yeah, so they can only get like so far from each other before like the magic just yotes them back to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, yotes them back. Is that okay?
No.
Why not?
Yote?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeet's fine? Yeah. What? Yeet is past tense of yote.
No,
the other way around.
Not true.
Why not?
Yeet is all.
It is though.
It is.
Yeeted.
Yeeted? Fine, yote's past participle.
So they're both correct. Yoted and yeeted they're both correct.
They're both correct. Yoted. He was yoted. So they will be yoted back to one another. You don't hate me. You don't.
And Jalen's like, I'm gonna go home, and Snorri's like, no, I got shit to do. So you got to come. And Jalen's like, but I can't leave you, and I want to go home. And he's like, well, I have stuff to do. And Jalen's like, well, I guess I have to go with you then.
So then they wind up on a boat, and poor Jalen has just become BFFs with a Viking. Not yet, but they will be. They're going to be BFFs. And so he's BFFs with a Viking, and he gets motion sick. He gets seasick.
Yes.
Poor thing.
So he's chapter on it.
Negative thing to be when you are BFFs with a Viking.
Yes. And then also after the night's done and he's finished throwing up absolutely everything he possibly can, then Snorri starts to like half drown him. Not to be mean, but because he landed in a shit pile and he stings.
Yes.
So Jalen was like, why did you drown me? And he's like, because if we're going to adventure together, you need to be clean.
Yeah.
And poor Jalen, like, this is the rough, like, he was a prince. He lived in the castle or keep or whatever the fuck, wherever they live. He lives in the royal house. And he's just spent all night on a boat throwing up covered in shit. So he's not doing too good.
Yeah, and his nose is broken.
Yes, and then Snorri fixes his nose.
Which is not pleasant, but he no longer sounds like a squeaky toy.
Which is nice.
I'm sorry, but the squeaky toy voice that the narrator does is great.
It is great, but it would have gotten tiresome if we'd gone the rest of the book with that. So I'm glad he fixed it.
So we get rid of the squeaky toy voice. So then after that,
yes.
They're just they journey for a while, and then
effectively it's we need to go and rescue my wife and son, and we get some of interspersed throughout the entire journey. We get some of Snorri's backstory.
Yeah, but we covered that at the top just so we didn't have to.
Because also the timing of when we get it isn't the most relevant.
Sorry?
I said the timing of when we get it all isn't the most relevant.
Yeah, and it doesn't interrupt the flow of the book when you're reading it, but...
Well, because also that's more or less like how Jalen, as the character that we first met, starts to develop empathy. Because whenever Snorri starts telling A, this is my past story and I'm sad thing, he's like, why am I feeling bad for the guy? I don't feel things for other people, and this ain't right.
Yeah.
So we get that development from these stories as well. But then, do we go to the circus or Ancraft first?
We go to the circus first.
Yep, because Snorri got poison in his hand or something.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's like, I need to do a fixie thing. And he's like, oh, look, there's a circus. Perfect place to get fixed, which it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but no, like, the reasons are sound. Like,
yeah.
They always have to have, obviously, like, medical personnel on hand because circuses, in terms of, like, a traditional circus especially, which this is, they're kind of dangerous places to be. People are throwing knives and shit. You know, it ain't the safest place. But then also, carnies in general also have more traditional healing methods, like with herbs and stuff. And in this world, again, this is their medicine. Like they don't have antibiotics here.
Yeah. So
he's like perfect place. So they go.
Yeah. So, and the sign says, Dr. Taproot's famous circus, lions, tigers is crossed out, and bears, oh my.
Also, yeah, the link between, like, it's a lot clearer in this series already that their world is our world in the future.
Yes.
Broken Empire, it's just like hinted, and you kind of like get the idea. This series is very much like, no, this is our world in the future.
Yeah. So, Then we get to meet Dr. Taproot.
Yep. And as we discussed I think we said this earlier as well, but as we discussed in Broken Empire, the narrator for that series did an awful Taproot. This narrator does an awesome Taproot.
Taproot in the series is wonderful.
Yeah, he just the Taproot is what was intended for the character.
Yeah, it works really well.
I don't feel like
he doesn't sound like a parrot having a stroke. Is that what you called him last time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he's no longer a parrot having a stroke.
He was just talking and then randomly squawking out, "Watch me." Whereas in this, it flowed and was interwoven with his sentences, and it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it was much less disruptive in this.
Yeah. Very disruptive. Oh, sorry. Very not disruptive. There we go. Taproot is just the quirky, quintessential carny runner character in this book. I haven't read what he actually is, but I started to see. I'm like, no, I want to be surprised. So I stopped reading, but he's a much more. But from what I did read before, I was like, no. He's a much more important character than.
Yeah, I could have told you to not read things about Taproot.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't get to any spoilers. It was more just Taproot is more than he appears. He's actually, and luckily that there was this view spoiler thing, and I was like, nope. And I'm like, let's leave that page now. I don't want the spoiler. I want to be surprised.
I was happy I was surprised.
Yeah, so I'm like, we'll get to that whenever we get to that, be it this series or if there's, because are there other series based in this universe as well?
Mm-mm.
So it'll be this one then.
Yep.
In this series, okay, I'm fine with that.
So then we get Snorri's hand fixed. We see some elephants.
Yeah.
And
Taproot gives him a direction. Oh, he's also the one that is like, hey, you know that guy in the tower? Yeah, that's your uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And he also the one that says no. He finds out that they're siblings later.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the main thing we get from that interaction, though, isn't it? Or no? Or does he give him some more guidance as to what to do next or something?
Yeah, because he's like, Mary's really is pissed with you, so maybe journeying north isn't the worst thing you could possibly do. And Jalen's like, okay, I guess.
I don't want to, but I will, I guess.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That set, I don't want to, but I will, I guess, is kind of this book in this sentence.
Yeah, come on, really? Okay.
I don't wanna.
Because Jalen wants to go home.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing, is he really wants to go home, and that's not happening for him. So
nope.
Then
they journey some more.
Well, he does a sex with them, and then there's a commotion in the dead of the night with the unborn. Because a child died.
Yeah, that's right. That was a stillbirth.
Yeah. Also, Snorri calls Jalen Jal, and Jalen hates it.
Yep.
And it makes me happy.
He's like, but I can't tell him I hate it because he'll smile even bigger when he calls me Jal in future, and that'll infuriate me even more.
Yep.
So that's the kind of person that Snorri is.
So
I like it.
Then
yeah. Oh yeah,
so then after that, sorry.
Yeah, they defeat the unborn, and then they're like, okay, I suppose it's time to eat now.
Yeah.
Oh, and they get horses around there.
Yes, they do. And we have to teach Snorri to ride a horse.
Because he's a Viking.
Because he's a Viking. They don't ride horses. So
they do that. And
what was that look for? Tell me what that look was for. Tell me what it was for.
Nothing. So
These are fake Vikings. They're not real. They're not like historical Vikings.
okay.
They
They're
call
future
themselves Vikings. They're future Vikings. What?
Nice work.
Why does that make it worse?
They call themselves like not actually like
No, they are Vikings. But like, you know how the real Vikings didn't call themselves Vikings?
yeah.
These Vikings call themselves Vikings.
Yeah, that's annoying.
But it's from the future. So what they have to go on is like our culture from now. Because this is when the Day of 1,000 Suns happens. Why don't you like it? What's
I
wrong?
just want to know.
What? Jesus. Okay. So,
then they get to Crath City,
yes.
and it's the Lost Prince is returned. The Lost Prince is returned. Everyone's like celebrating and shit, and so that's a callback to Broken Empire, book one when Jorg comes home. So that's where we're at in the timeline. Jorg's just come home. And Galen's just like, who the fuck is this Lost Prince and why should I care? But I guess I'll pretend to be excited because I got diplomatic shit to do right now. Because why did they decide to stop him there again to see if there was frozen?
What?
You froze for a minute.
Fuck.
People need a better internet connection.
I know. People do.
Yeah.
I what?
What?
I what?
You what?
You said people do.
I-
know you mean me.
I don't. I said nothing.
Laura Ethel Blunt.
So they go to an inn in Craft City. I think I need her to unmute shortly. So thank you. Is this where they go to the inn?
Yes.
Okay. So they go to an inn, and all the brothers are there from Broken Empire. They're all there. Raki's there, and he terrifies Jalen even more because we get even more of a scale of just how big Raki is in this. Because like Snorri is huge, Raki is bigger. And he poisoned someone's drink. I can't remember why, but he poisons someone's drink and then goes to bed and takes a girl with him. Does he end up begging the chick or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. We find out later that the person whose drink he poisoned was Jorg's. Why did he poison Jorg's drink?
I don't remember. Honestly.
Honestly, it was probably something petty, like the girls were looking at him instead of me, so let's poison him. But yes, we find out later that it was Jorg's drink, which, if you remember Jorg's perspective of that scene more clearly, you'd know. But Jalen finds out later that it was Jorg's drink. But so then they go up to the keep, the tall castle thing, and they're like, "Hey, I demand to see a king. I am of a prince." And so they're like, "Okay, well, the king can see you tomorrow. Come to guest quarters." So he goes to guest quarters, and he sees a chick, and he's like, "I'm going to pinch her butt." So he pinches her butt. It's what's her name? Catherine.
It's Catherine.
Yeah, it's Catherine. And this is immediately post Jorg killing the guy that she was in love with.
Yes.
So she ain't happy and knees him in the groin, and then he has to go see the queen in her chambers, and the queen is like, "I want you to put a Jorg in his place, please? And he's picturing like a 12-year-old or something. Oh, not a 12-year-old, probably younger than a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Because how old is Jorg now?
Sorry?
How old is
He's
Jorg?
14.
He's 14, but he's a big 14. He's like, he's over 6 foot at this point. So he's picturing like this little kid.
So Jorg is taller than Jalen, by the way.
Yeah.
Because Jalen's like 5'10" or so.
Yeah. He's picturing a child in his head. So he's like, of course I will, you sexy. He apparently, like, the queen's so attractive that even though she's like heavily pregnant, he's like, yeah, I'd still bang her if like my dick wasn't broken right now. Because he got kneed in the groin like half an hour earlier.
Yeah.
And then the queen tries to give him a hand job.
Yep.
And he's hurt, so he girlishly shrieks, and the guards come in, and he's like, ah, fuck. So then they have to do a yeet, because he doesn't want to get killed.
Yes.
And Snorri's like, lol, you're an idiot, why would you do that? But also Jorg is like, you know, that guy that was with that guy last night, yeah, that's him. He's like, well, fuck, god damn it, I can't do this. Why would I agree to something without seeing my person? So does anything ever come from that, or is that
Nope,
just
that's
like
the end of that.
okay? So that it was more or less just kind of like a nod to Broken Empire, I guess.
Well, they do have to pass back through Krath City later, which is a problem.
Okay. We'll get to that when we get to that then.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yep. So then they're on their way again to Snorri's people. Does anything happen between them leaving there and getting there? I know time passes, but a lot of it's like them. Oh, along the way as well, Snorri starts talking about the devil in his head, and someone starts talking to Jalen at dawn.
We didn't talk about Oslaug and
No.
what's the guy I never remember his name.
Um,
What's the one in Jalen's head?
I will find him.
So the cracks like hitting them gave them like Viking ghosts in their brains.
I don't know if he from what I've read, Snorri interprets his as like Viking ghosts, and Jalen interprets his as like an angel because of their different religions.
Well, also one of them got the dark crack, one of them got the light crack.
Yes. Let me just see. Dawn. Okay. Nope. Okay, I'll try searching for Angel. Yeah, so we'll talk about that, and I'll find the name when we talk about that whole thing.
Yeah. And they just like talk to them. So Jalens tries to make him like a better person.
Yes.
And I guess Stories does the opposite.
Yes.
She whispers mean nothings in his ear.
Yep. Let's see if I can find a name. But the end. So Snorri tells Jalen about what his guy says to him. I don't think Jalen really reciprocates. He's like, my guy wants me to be good. Like, that's about it. He's like, hey, can you maybe just don't be so selfish every so often? And he's like, ugh.
Yeah.
So then does anything else happen between Crath City and them meeting up with Snorri's peeps?
Yes and
A
no.
lot of
Like, this is a big travel book. A lot of it's walking.
but
Oh, yeah,
a
'cause,
lot
like,
of it is,
Because they
as
wind
well.
up like on the mountains, and then they're like Edris Dean's
right.
people on the mountains, and like we have to kill those people, and then Jalen like breaks his ankle. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that happens,
and that's right. And then one of them,
sorry.
well, one of the people that attacks them or something, Jalen touches them and they get healed, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And then Snorri kills the person.
Yeah.
But they discover
so-
from that Jalen can heal now.
Yeah. Jalen, because
He's got
Also-
the light in.
yeah, and also because of like what happened to Snorri's dark thing, he goes into like berserker mode when he fights people now. So his eyes go black. His eyes are naturally blue,
Yeah.
but they go like black and he goes into berserker mode. But other than that, like it's enjoyable walking, but it's just walking for about 5 hours of book time.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't feel like nothing's happening, but when you have to say what happens, not a lot happens. Oh, that's the other thing as well. While they're in Crath City as well, Sages is like goes to both of them like separately because he's like, "You need to help me break his thing," because he wants to be unbound and shit. And he's like, "Well, there's a few ways to do that. One, you can do whatever it is that the cracks wanted to do. You need to fulfill the mission. Two, you can kill the other one, like to each other. They both get told if they kill each other, that'll end the thing." And Jalen's like, "But I can't kill him. Like, I don't want to, but I can't. Like, I don't want to be bound to him, but I also can't kill him. So, bless him."
And the cracks are drawing them north.
Yes, the cracks
So the cracks want to do what Snorri wants to do. Unfortunate for Jalen.
Yes. So they're like, "Fine, I guess we'll go north." Well, he's like, "Fine, I guess we'll go north."
Yeah.
And yeah, so the biggest thing I think that comes out of, like, plot wise, that comes out of between there and meeting up with the peeps is like, "Hey, he told us that we could do it. Like, I could do a kill. He told me I could do a kill. I don't want to do a kill. I don't want to do a kill. So let's do a thing then."
Yeah.
And they've discovered that, yeah, Jalen can heal people. And then they meet up with Snorri's peeps now.
Yeah.
And they drink and tell stories and do a thing. And he's like, "Okay, well, we must make all of the plans before we sail, to try and avoid sailing effectively." And then wakes up on a boat.
Yep.
And yeah, happy.
Yeah. So then we basically like boat to the place, and then we do a battle.
Yeah, so there's lots of, like, there's more bonding. He gets to know more people. He heals other people as well. Some guy's like, "Hey, I have effectively the guy has like freaking herpes or whatever." And he's like, "Can you fix me?" He's like, "Or you could just inject yourself with shit. That's fine. Like, I don't have to." Because also the first guy that he heals as well, I can't remember. Oh, he's got like poison in his hand or something, and he's gonna die. Like, he's got rotten flesh and shit, and healing him almost kills Jalen. He's like,
Yeah.
He's like weak for days. He passes out. It ain't pretty for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, then they get to where they're going to after like a couple of people die along the way, I guess, because it's cold.
Yeah.
And they get there, and Snorri's like, "Where's my wife and son?" And he's like, "Mwahaha."
And this is, you know what, I said it was King Olaf. King Olaf is like the big, then there's Sven Brokor. I'm a dumbass.
He's like, where's my fan bam? And he's like, I shall not do a thing. And he's like, but tell me. And he's like, no. And then he's not going to get his answers. And then it's the sun sets. So then, dude rocks up in his head. Because also, their peeps can only talk to them at sunrise and sunset.
Yes.
Like, so John only talks to him at sunrise, and Snorri's only talks to him at sunset.
And it's really annoying for Jalin because he doesn't like waking up early.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, also, yeah. Also along this journey, at some point, that's where they find out as well that the Silent Sisters' blood will also end their joining. And they're like, but so we have to go all the way back and get her blood. How the fuck are we going to get her blood? Because also Snorri can see her as well.
Yes, Snorri can see her too.
They're like, oh, fuck, so we're going to have to get her blood. And they're like, or you can just get, her twin's blood. And they're like, she has a sister. And they're like, no, she has a brother. And that's when it all clicks that his great uncle is the Silent Sisters' twin, that they were separated at birth, etc. And so his blood will also end their thing.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, so Snorri beats the shit out of this guy. Battle happens. And everyone
lose a lot of people.
Everyone except for Snorri, Jalin, Titigu, and Ein.
Yeah.
Yes. Everyone except him is dead. Ein is pretty badly hurt, so he's like, you must do a heal. And he's like, he's like, I'm hurt too. Like, look at me, Snorri, I'm hurt. And he's like, yeah, but that's nice, but he's gonna die if you don't help him. He's like, I'll die if I do help him. He's like, no, the magic's stronger here, it's fine. So then he heals him. And he's like, okay. So then Snorri drags him over to Titigu, and he's like, you have to help him too. And he's like, but I can't. I already did a thing. And they're like, oh, no, you have to do a thing. Like, you have to. And he's like, no, I can't. And he's like, but you have to. He's going to die. And he's like, I can't let him go. I can't let him go to the afterlife with genital herpes. So he heals him. That's how he justifies it to him. I don't want him to die. It's no. I can't let it. No self-respecting man go to the afterlife with genital herpes. So he heals him, and then he passes out.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up, and like, there's fire, and he's like, "Sorry, guys, dead army is coming."
Yep.
And they're like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Dead army's coming. They're gonna be." And he's like, "Well, let's yeet." And they're like, "We don't have time to yeet." They hopefully, Snorri can take him out with his demon dude. But if not, your angel dude's going to have to take over. And he's like, wait, what? They're going to be here that soon? And he's like, yeah. So they do what they can, and then they lock them. They see them coming, and then they lock themselves in. I'm guessing it's a safe.
Yeah.
They lock themselves in a vault or whatever. And they're like, well, this ain't good. And then
there's like 24 of them.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. And then an unborn is already in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a fight breaks out. Snorri kills the unborn just as it's about to kill Jalin. It breaks open a whole bunch of sacks of stuff. And in it is a dead little baby, and Snorri has a breakdown, and he's like, I just killed my son. My wife was pregnant when she was taken, and he found out when he was beating the crap out of the other guy that his son was killed pretty much straight away. His wife was allowed to carry the baby to term, and then she died when they cut the baby out. Then they killed the baby and made an unborn, and he killed the unborn that was born from his child's death.
Yeah.
So he's having a bit of a breakdown.
Yeah, he's not doing so good.
Yeah. And then the safe or the vault doors start opening and shit, and they're like, what the fuck, how is this happening? And they realize that they've got the key that will open any door,
Yes.
because that's what the Dead Army is focusing on right now. They want the key. So they found the key. And they managed to win. Like Jalen and Snorri and co managed to win.
Yeah.
But they win by Jalen's, because also if Jalen and Snorri touch for too long, the cracks do a thing, and they're scared of what will happen. So they're like, well, let's suicide then. So then they join hands, and they're like, they decide, might as well take these fuckers down with us. So they join hands. Thing happens. They wake up, and now Jalen is dark, Snorri is light. The cracks kind of just switched.
Yeah.
They have to wait out. They have to wait up there for a bit because they can't travel back yet.
Yeah.
And Snorri has the key, and he's just like, yeah. And it ends with Jalen just watching Snorri play with this key over and over and over again, thinking, yeah, he's gonna. Oh, Barakel. That's the angel's name.
Yeah, it's Barakel. And then there's so the key is it opens anything, and like we said before, there's a door to death. And Snorri wants his family back.
Yeah, and the door goes both ways. Like, you can enter to go to dead, or you can bring dead back. And he's like, yeah.
So if a key opens anything, that's where we're going.
Yep. So yeah, the book ends with, somewhere out there is a door that leads to death, a door that swings both ways, a door that shouldn't ever be opened, a door that couldn't ever be opened until now. Bum bum bum. And that's how the book ends. So it's kind of implying that, well, it's not implying, it's straight up saying that Jalen thinks that Snorri is going to try and either join his family or bring his family back.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of amazing that we boiled down the plot of a 14-hour book to an hour and a half, but
I know. I mean, part of it though is like, while it's a long book and it doesn't feel like it drags, it's kind of like the first Broken Empire book where not a lot actually happens.
Yeah, they get conjoined. Like, the most eventful part is the beginning and the end, I guess, as far as like talking about it goes, because they get conjoined, then they go, and then they fight, and they get a key.
Yeah, a lot of the middle stuff is,
and now we have a story. Yeah.
And setting shit up for later books, I'm assuming, because we get little tidbits of information throughout.
Yeah, but there's a lot less you can skip over talking about, like the next book and the third book.
Yeah, but it was like, while it's a really long book that doesn't have a lot of plot itself to speak of, it still doesn't. It doesn't drag. It doesn't feel like it's lacking in plot. Whereas, like, okay, Vampire Diaries last week, we read the book and it was like, where's the plot?
Yeah, this doesn't feel like that.
Girl meets boy, boy ignores girl, girl wants boy, girl gets boy, boy's a vampire.
Yeah, we get a lot of character development in this book.
Yeah, and the scenes where not a lot happens, it's written in a way where it doesn't feel like not a lot happens.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, if you're gonna write a book where not a lot happens, at least make it so it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah. So with that, we're gonna be doing Vampire Diaries on Thursday.
Yes, unless you discover in the next day that you need to do it Wednesday.
Thursday works for me. So
excellent.
So the next Vampire Diaries book on Thursday, and that is what we're doing. So then next week we'll just do the next Vampire Diaries book after that, and then the second book in this series. So that's what we're doing. That's what's up. And we will see